Let me get this set up real quick, everybody. Okay. I'm going to make that a little bit taller, I think. Or I'm just going to go down a little bit lower. How are y'all doing this beautiful Sunday? Hope you're having a good start to your day. We had a wonderful rain this morning, so it's a little wet out here, and I was having some at work, Josh. Well, I'm glad you get to at least listen in, man. Hello, Lady Onyx. I'm gonna sit down on the ground. It's a little wet, but I'll live. Let me know if the connection chops up at all or anything like that. Hey, Richie B. I got a new device for streaming, and I should have a much better stream. I erased all of the old videos that I had concerning this book, Real Alchemy, a primer of practical alchemy. Hey Steve, how we doing, man? Because I went through and I watched some of them. I watched all of them actually, and it just didn't, it was real choppy. Hey guys, it's okay. It's okay. Those are the kitties. They're okay. Settle down, Beef, okay? Sorry about that. But yeah, they were real choppy. You couldn't really, it was breaking up a lot. The video was bad. Hey, Walt, I'm so glad you made it, man. Awesome. But yeah, I wanted to do them all over again because I believe that this information is it's important. And the way that I was putting it out wasn't doing it justice at all. So if you notice any glitches or anything, I can switch it over to the phone's internet, but it seems to be picking up the Wi-Fi pretty good so far. But if it gets choppy or anything, please let me know. So I can, I'll switch it over, and I did a test yesterday using it. It worked really well around here. But enough of that. Whoa. We'll get into taking a look at all the plants and everything here in a little bit. It's choppy now? Okay, here, I'm going to turn that off then. You. Connect real quick. Okay, I'm on my phone service internet instead of the Wi-Fi. Okay, wonderful. Yeah, just keep me posted if it messes up at all. But let's get into it, everybody. This is Real Alchemy, a primer of practical alchemy by Robert Allen Bartlett. Now it's buffering like mad. It should have for a second there. Ooh, what is that? Something flew up underneath my shirt. Okay. Alright, yeah, I figured there might have been a little glitch there when I switched from the Wi-Fi to the... Wonderful. Thanks, Chris. Glad to see you here. Okay, Real Alchemy, a primer of practical alchemy by Robert Allen Bartlett. Preface by Brian Cottonor. Forward by Dennis William Hawk. Ibis Press. The first thing it says, I love this, is kids, don't try this at home. The practice of real alchemy is inherently dangerous. Formal laboratory training is encouraged. Consulting a licensed physician is encouraged before consuming herbal preparations. Familiarize yourself with the laws that may apply to you in your jurisdiction and act accordingly. Read as many of the other books on the subject of alchemy as possible. A list of recommended books can be found in the bibliography. Learn as much as you can from a qualified teacher, and above all, know the theory before attempting the practice. This book is sold for informational purposes. The author and publisher will not be held accountable for the use or misuse of the information in this book, nor shall I. All right, preface to the Ibis Press edition. This is Brian Cotnor, author of The Wiser, Concise Guide to Alchemy. That's W-E-I-S-E-R. As sentient, self-aware beings, we have been engaged in the quest for more, the quest for better, and the quest for perfection since we first stood upright and uttered our first words. Oh, geez. To take what has been given to us and transform it, hoping and praying for all the better, lies at the heart of what all has been called the royal art, the way of the philosopher, or simply the art. That is alchemy. The art and science of alchemy has been found throughout many times and regions. We can speak of Chinese alchemy, Indian alchemy, Hellenistic Arabic, and European. Some have focused on matter, some have focused on soul, and others a double focus on body and soul. As such, alchemy is not a smooth, monolithic system, but rather a journey full of contradictions, false turns, and dazzling insights into the world of creation. At times it seems to defy a single definition, but in its most general, all-encompassing form, we can say with some degree of confidence that alchemy is the art and science of bringing something to its final perfection. That something may be corporeal or incorporeal, and the processes involved are those of dissolution and composition. The Greeks called alchemy chemia. They also used the words chrysopoeia and argiopoeia, literally gold making and silver making, respectively. Now remember, this is history, folks, so take it with a grain of salt. The poia are part of the word means make or composed. It is where you get our English word for poetry. In Plato's Symposium, Socrates recounts how the philosopher Diotima, while instructing him, once said, "There is poetry, which, as you know, is complex and manifold. All creation or passage of non-being into being is poetry or making. And the processes of art all are creative. And the masters of arts are all poets or makers. And just as music is composed out of the elements of sound and silence, the poetry of our elements of words and letters, so the art of alchemy is composed out of elements, the elements of matter and soul. And so, with its basis in the material, alchemy could be considered the poetry of matter. We follow the rules of composition working with the elements, as in music or in language. What are the elements of alchemy? In general, the alchemists and philosophers speak of 4 elements: fire, air, water, earth, or of 3 principles: mercury, sulfur, salt. The main processes are dissolution and composition. If you do not skin the bodies of their corporeal nature, and if you do not give a corporeal nature to incorporeal beings, then nothing you wait for will take place. From Hermes shows here the heart of the alchemical process, the change of something into its opposite, and of taking apart and putting back together again. Maria, the Jewess, one of the mothers of alchemy, alluding to Hermes, elucidates the role of opposites in the act of creation when she says, "Make the corporeal incorporeal, and the incorporeal corporeal. Join male and female, as you shall have what you seek." Alchemy can be understood as the release of soul from the body and its subsequent reunion with it. This is the essence of the secret of composition. And it is in the composing that we find the final perfection, and the key to this final perfection comes from us. As we read in the Liber de Composition Alchemy, where the monk Morianus answers Khalid ibn Yazid, this matter comes from you, who are yourself the source, where it is found and whence it is taken. Alchemy is said to be physical or spiritual, but the fact is, it is both. It has not always been practiced as both. There have been alchemists who dispensed with the superstitions of magic squares, planetary rulership. Settle down. It's okay. Sorry about them, folks. Oh, where was I? Superstition. Okay, there have been alchemists who dispense with the superstitions of magic squares, planetary rulership, etc., to focus on their dialogue with matter. And there were others who have focused on the uplift of their soul, who, leaving behind the dross of alembics, retorts, and furnaces. Settle down, baby girl. It's okay. Sorry, we have kittens and cats arguing. Hey, can you leave my plants alone? Okay? I'm talking at you. You stop that. Sorry, 1 second. Hank! Hank! Hey, hey, hey! Hank. Thank you, buddy. Hey, settle down. You too, Beef. Come on, up on the porch. Come on. Get up there. Come on. Hey. Come on. Come lay down. Just relax. Sorry about that, folks. Okay. Okay, and left behind the dross of alembics, retorts, and furnaces. Those are like your distills and stuff like that, your alchemy supplies. They didn't use those in some people. So it's been practiced as somewhat magic and somewhat chemistry, and then there's those who practice it as both, is what he's pretty much saying. Each aspect is like seeing with one eye open, each correct and accurate on its own, but yet there is more. We have all seen 3D viewers. Take the two photographs, each offset by a bit, that when viewed, pop into 3 dimensions. The split between the physical and the spiritual interpretations of alchemy are like this. Each photograph is accurate and complete and can stand on its own, as can each interpretation of alchemy. But it is when we put them together that the most magical experience of 3 dimensions occur. Something more than each eye alone could imagine. Is that what the alchemist thought? Is that bothering you guys? Is it okay if he barks? Can you still hear me? I just don't want it to be a bother to you. Hey Hatter, hey Jamie Brown. Yeah, if the dog is barking is bothering you, please say something now or forever hold your peace. Okay, wonderful. I'm just gonna let him go then. I mean, he's a dog, that's what they do. Hi, pal. Okay. That was really neat. I like how he did that, how 3D, how one image is correct and the other one is correct also. But when you put them together, it's magical. Magical things take place. And you see so much more. It's not in all cases, but alchemy, is this what the alchemist thought? Not in all cases, but alchemy is the richest when it is seen with both eyes. Listen to how Zosimos of Panopolis expresses this unity of the work in a letter to his sister. Let your body rest. Calm your passions. Resist desire, pleasure, anger, sorrow, and the dozen fatalities of death. And thus conducting yourself, you will call to you the divine being, and the divine being will come to you, he who is everywhere and nowhere. Operating in this manner, you will obtain the proper, authentic, and natural tinctures. Make these things until you become perfect in your soul. And that was the end of his letter. Much has been written on the psychological and spiritual aspects of alchemy, but it is physical aspects with its variety materials and processes that cause confusion and puzzlement. What is actually done in physical alchemy? Simply put, alchemy begins with the body. It begins with the material. Begins with the here and now. As Morianus says, referring to the materials of the great work, I will both bring before you the things called by these names, that you may see them, as well as work with them in your presence. Do not depart from that which I have set forth for you and shown you, for you will go astray. And it is in the tradition that Robert Allen Bartlett, in Real Alchemy, this book before you, shows how and what of alchemy. Please know that these practices and materials are very real, and there is risk in the work, just as in chemistry. But with the necessary precautions for those who do venture forth, there is, sorry. There is real wisdom to be found. Oh man, that one touched me. When this practice is joined with the intent to heal or something positive, things happen. Start slowly and mindfully. Put consistent effort behind the work and go through a few of the processes at a time. The basics are here. But reach into the primary sources from which these practices come and read them against your own practices and results. Dig into it. Ask questions of the matter at hand. Investigate it, and not timidly. Soon you will clearly see that it is not a metaphor for something else, but rather that alchemy is fundamentally about transmutation in the physical world, of change from poison to medicine, from sickness to health, poverty to wealth, and ignorance to wisdom. Ultimately, what you bring to the practice is where alchemy begins. Istanbul, Turkey, Ramazan 2008. Sorry about that, folks. I don't know what happened there. Wow. Whew. I don't know what's going on. That just rang. That rang throughout. Oh, I'm gonna need a sec. How's everybody doing today? Did y'all have a good Saturday evening and all that good stuff? It rained here all night and all morning. It's been perfect. I love it when it does that at night. And the sun, even though it's not shining right now, the plants are loving it. What do they say? If the sun don't come, you get a tan from standing in the English rain. Oh man. Okay. Whew. I don't know, those words were powerful to me for some reason. I don't know, okay. Real alchemy. And now this is my favorite, one of my favorite parts of this book. I've read it online here at least 7 or 8 times. This is the foreword by Dennis William Hawke. The book before you is an amazing accomplishment in many ways. My friend and fellow alchemist Robert Bartlett has laid bare the secret processes and experiments of our discipline with exceptional clarity and openness. He has exposed the hermetic origins of alchemy and shown how modern alchemists approach the ancient art. But first and foremost, his book is a revelation of the genuine craft of alchemy, as it was meant to be practiced. While the work of Carl Jung and others have underscored the archetypal power and universal significance of alchemical symbols, alchemy itself is much more than a psychological commentary on the nature of the human psyche. It is true that alchemy reflects the highest aspirations of the human soul, for our gold has always symbolized the hastened perfection of man as well as matter. However, any alchemist worth his salts knows the lasting transformation only takes place when the work is accomplished on all levels of reality: the mental, the spiritual, and the physical. The great work is actual work to be done with the hands, the heart, and the soul, and not just understood with the mind. A medieval alchemist brought back to our era would be highly amused at the endless discussions among modern theorists as to the nature and depth of alchemy, or its sudden blossomings in the offices of psychiatrists and New Age counselors. Has no one ever tried it? He would ask incredulously. What good is such understanding without its practical application in the world? No alchemist in history has ever thought the secret art was solely a mental discipline. The work of transformation takes place in the real world. Yet, alchemy is not chemistry. Chemistry is a science that deals only with the external forms in which the elements manifest. A chemist seeks to rearrange atoms and molecules to exhibit different properties of the same dead material. An alchemist seeks to create an entirely new substance by exposing its essences, bringing them alive, and causing them to grow. When an alchemist performs a laboratory experiment, it is the culmination of careful planning to find the right timing and personal purification to create the sacred space in which the transformation can take place. The alchemist becomes an ingredient in his own experiment, and his intention and passion contribute to the outcome. He suffers as the essences are teased and tortured from the substance, and he is elated when the hidden spark of truth brings the dead matter back to life on a new level of being. Admittedly, this is a strange way of looking at laboratory work in a materialistic, industrialized world, and there are many prejudices the modern mind must overcome to accept the possibility that alchemy is real. Yet perhaps after reading this book with a free heart and open mind, you might find an ancient voice speaking to you through the drone of appliances, engines, and commercial broadcasts that make up our environment. The voice will whisper, "But have you tried it?" I love that. So what he was saying there is, in this part, it really just rang true to me when I've read it so many times, and now I'm just, the personal purification he's talking about. It's, you making the tincture is not the final step in the alchemical process. You taking the tincture is. You and the tincture becoming one. There is still a process that's going to take place there. And that's where, if you're not as pure as you can be, if you can't, it's not just the plant's job to do its part. You're not just making it as pure as possible. You have to also we have to work on ourselves. And I've been on a water cleanse now for a week I drink one drink with, for lunch. It's got some juices in it and some green tea extract for caffeine. I'm still working on that, but I feel so much better cutting out all the carbonated stuff and there's all the other things that I was consuming. But I'm going to try and make myself as pure as possible so when I do start taking my next set of tinctures, my stronger ones, I'll be doing my part as well. And that's where the real magic can take place then. Yeah, that really set in right there, the whole careful planning to find the right timing and personal purification to create the sacred space. You are the sacred space where this is going to be taking place, the final transmutation. It's about transmutating yourself, your vibrations, and making them more pure. That's the goal of an alchemist. Okay, now this is the preface. And let's see, what are we at? Oh, okay. How much is the history? We might even, yeah, we'll do, okay. We'll get through the history of alchemy. We'll go all the way through till that. We'll read through the first chapter today. And we'll see how much time we have left then, or what time it is then. These days, the word alchemy is lumped together with psychic phenomena, ghost hunters, UFO sightings, and other dark arts. I guess we could probably even throw flat earth into there now, huh? Everyone has heard of such things, but only a few know more of the details, especially those concerning alchemy. A few years ago, my wife was in a class for hypnotherapy certification, and she happened to mention that I had an interest in alchemy. Everyone was intrigued. They asked if I would be willing to give a 2 or 3 hour presentation on the subject. My hesitant reply was, yeah, I can do that. That first time, I talked for 5 hours. People were entranced and asked if we could have another class to continue. Before I could finish constructing an outline for the second class, I received a call asking if we could make the whole presentation 3 6-hour classes. Since then, I've been teaching the classes each year. There is a real thirst out there for information on the practical alchemical arts. This book is something of a transcription from those classes and will provide a short primer for those interested in exploring firsthand the sacred science and royal art, which is alchemy. Real alchemy. This is from Isaac Holland, Opera Vegetabilia, 15th century. Now I will teach and describe the secret of the arts, which secret is at the heart of all secrets hidden in the art of alchemy. Since one will here understand the wonderful works that God has accomplished in all things he has made out of the 4 elements. For I shall here teach you to know the spirits of herbs, trees, and all growing things, how to separate them from their bodies, and also how to purify the 4 elements and restore them to their first being and their first perfect power. That is, that when the elements are purified, how they can be put together again and make a perfect and fixed body of them, which is then glorified and has a miraculous effect. That's one of the things I love about this book so much, is that it's full of quotes, and most of them are well over 100 years old. They come from old books, but that's what they claim. We all know how history could go. When we mention the word alchemy, most people think that means a now discredited method of turning lead into gold. Then we have psychologists after Jung who tell us that alchemy, with its fantastic imagery, is only a metaphor. That is to say, that alchemy is an allegory describing the processes of psychological reintegration. Many believe this is the new and correct interpretation of the alchemist's riddle. It's all psychology. Yet, If we look into the lives of the alchemists themselves, we find they were indeed involved in laboratory work that appears to be similar to what we call chemistry today. Alchemy has been described by many of the ancient masters as a sort of celestial agriculture. I like that definition. It is amazing that alchemy, once called the divine art or sacred science, has fallen into such obscurity that it is now only remembered as the primitive beginnings of modern chemistry. And yet alchemy lies at the root of every Western esoteric tradition, as well as many of the arts and sciences, including medicine and pharmacology. Alchemy has been called the mother of all science and wisdom. In a nutshell, alchemy is an ancient art and science concerning the mysteries of life, of consciousness, and its evolution. Currently, there are many people who latch on to the word alchemy and attach it to any number of New Age transformative tools, such as alchemical massage or alchemical hypnotherapy, because alchemy is associated with a transmutation or transformation of something of little worth into something of great value. In the following pages, we're going to explore alchemy, the real alchemy. This means we will be exploring practical laboratory alchemy. We will include here the history, theory, and simple practices that anyone can use to prepare herbal and mineral extracts in the ancient traditions. Who am I? And where is this information coming from? I've been exploring alchemy since I was about 12 years old. I've had a laboratory of my own in one form or another since even before then. In 1974, I began an intensive study of alchemy at the Paracelsus Research Society, later called Paracelsus College, and located in Salt Lake City, Utah. The classes were taught by Dr. Albert Rydell, who preferred to be known as Frater Albertus. Frater Albertus was one of the most well-known practical alchemists of the 20th century. He also taught classes in Germany, Switzerland, New Zealand, and Austria. The classes took place on a small campus composed of a dormitory, a lecture hall, and a laboratory. Class size was limited to 12 students, and contact with the outside world was not encouraged. No radios, TVs, phones, or newspapers, so the student could fully immerse himself in the teachings. It was a mystery school. The classes ran Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., with homework and lab work that ran continuously. For 2 weeks each year, over 7 years, at the end of each 2 weeks class, the student were given a work to accomplish in the preparation for the next year's class. By 1976, I decided to return to a university where I could finish my degree in chemistry in hopes of one day working at Paralab, the commercial offshoot of the PRS that would be opening soon. Paralab offered a line of herbal and mineral preparations formulated along alchemical principles for research and alternative healthcare practices. After graduation in 1979, that's the year I was born, I was appointed chief chemist at Paralab and remained in the position until its closure in late 1983. Frater Albertus passed away in 1984. I have been a professional chemist since that time and have worked on my own projects through the years. Being employed as a research and analytical chemist has allowed me to collect state-of-the-art analytical data on many products from alchemical experiments, and so begin to answer some of the questions modern science would ask concerning these materials. Excuse me. Frater Albertus had a simple definition of what alchemy is about. He said that alchemy was about evolution and raising the vibratory rate. To understand that correctly requires some understanding of natural laws and some introduction to mysticism or occult philosophy. The information being taught here is an ageless wisdom handed down for centuries by an oral tradition and later in a necessarily obscure language and symbolism. It is called the Hermetic philosophy, after its legendary founder Hermes Trismegistus, the Greek name for the Egyptian god Thoth, god of wisdom and inventor of all science and magic. The ancient sages often referred to themselves as the sons of Hermes, or the sons of wisdom. The earliest descriptions of alchemy link it to transformations in matter through the influence of light, or spirit, or fire. It is the metamorphosis of matter orchestrated by spirit. It is generally agreed that ancient Egypt is the birthplace of alchemy, as it is known in the Western world, and it is there that we begin our exploration. Okay, Chapter 1, A Brief History of Alchemy. The origins of alchemy are lost in history, and theories abound as to where it might have originated. God taught it to Adam and later to Moses. Fallen angels taught it to human women in exchange for sex. It is a remnant of lost Atlantean technology, or extraterrestrials taught it to our ancestors. So nobody knows really how alchemy got started or why human beings started practicing it, or even if it was given to us at all. Nobody knows these things. Whatever its true origin is, recorded history documents an esoteric tradition that has existed for several thousand years. Mystery and magic permeate all that is ancient Egypt. From beginning to end, Egypt has been called the theocratic state, ruled by a very powerful priesthood. The priesthood was divided into various castes, each with specific duties, such as scribes and astronomers. Of special interest to us are the priests who worked with materials in ways we might describe today as chemistry. These priests, often working under an oath of secrecy regarding their art, developed skills in metallurgy, ceramics, medicine, mummification, and winemaking, to name just a few. The study of the operative forces at work in the universe was the primary goal of the priesthood. They called these forces the Neteru, from which we obtain our word, nature. The Neteru were the forces of nature. From the small number of writings which remain to us, it is apparent that these priests were skilled healers who possessed a material science, much of which is still a mystery to us. There were always two parts of these sciences. One was mental and spiritual, and the other physical. For example, the preparation of a medicine included the processing of a material accompanied by certain words, spells, incantations, or rituals. And in prescribing, the patient was given the medicine with the instruction to repeat a spell or prayer. The proper timing of these things was equally important. So, vibrations, folks, that's what it's all about. It's when you speak, you're giving off vibrations. And we used to know a lot more about this. Or it could very well still be well known today and just hidden from us. But every time you speak, you're creating, these vibrations, these waves, and they affect everything around us. Plants, the rice experiment, all of that stuff has to do with these vibrations that we give off. And then there's looking even deeper, the intent that you have also gets into it. That's what alchemy is putting all of these things together along with chemistry. Okay, back. Sorry about that. In the Egyptian mysteries, man was composed of various spiritual and mental components as well as the physical component, and each had its proper medicine. These secret sciences advanced over time, and tales of wondrous healing oils, life-giving potions, and imitations of gold and precious stones have survived even to our day. When ancient tomb robbers would plunder a pharaoh's tomb, these precious oils were one of the first things to be stolen. They were considered to be as precious as gold and easier to carry and sell. Stolen gold was heavy and had to be melted down before you could sell it. When Alexander the Great arrived in Egypt around 300 BC, he fell in love with the whole culture, and the Egyptians welcomed him with open arms. This began the so-called Greco-Egyptian or Ptolemaic period of Egyptian history. Greek. Whoop. Sorry about that. Whoa, what happened there? Oh, well. The Greeks called Egypt Kem, or Kemet. This literally meant the Black Land, and is in reference to the thick layer of dark fertile soil deposited by the annual flooding of the Nile. Knowledge of Egyptian secret sciences made its way into Greece, where it was called chemia, the black art, and spawned a long line of Greek alchemists. In Egypt, Alexander initiated a sweeping campaign of construction and restoration, including the city named after him, Alexandria. The Great Library of Alexandria is legendary. It has been estimated that this library contained nearly 1 million volumes of the collected writings of the known world. Scholars from everywhere flocked to Alexandria, and it became a melting pot of ideas and philosophies. It is here that the Hermetic philosophy of alchemy congealed as a path to spiritual attainment, and its secrets were only revealed to initiates under an oath of silence. And that was in 300 BC, an oath of silence was taken. By around 30 BC, the Roman legions had swept the world, and the last of Egyptian Ptolemies had fallen to Roman rule. During this insurgence, a very large part of the Great Library was destroyed by fire. Initially, Rome was tolerant of Egyptian ways. In fact, the worship of Isis spread well into the Roman world, with temples in Rome itself. As the early Roman emperors became converted to Christianity, this level of tolerance dropped off. In 290, the Emperor Diocletian feared that the influx of imitation gold produced by the Egyptian art could disrupt the Roman economy, fearing also that it would allow someone to gather enough wealth to form an army which could move against Rome. He passed an edict calling for the destruction of all texts and materials dealing with the manufacture of gold and precious stones. This order was carried out with great severity. Great masses of information were indiscriminately destroyed, as well as what remained of the great library. In 325, Rome officially became Christian, and in 391 the Emperor Theodosius made heresy punishable by death and ordered the destruction of pagan temples. In the Roman world, which at the time covered quite a large area, you were either a Christian or you were exiled or killed. Most of those practicing the Hermetic philosophy fled the country and migrated east to Arab lands, not occupied by Rome. The early Persian caliphs were much more hospitable to the alchemists, and the center of the art shifted there, although in much more guarded capacity. It was here that the Arabic prefix al was added to the Greek chemia to give us alchemia, later to become alchemy. Scientific pursuits in early Christian Rome became dormant for centuries. With the fall of the Roman Empire, the civilized world was thrown into chaos. Thus began the Dark Ages. So, all of that can be taken with a grain of salt. Beginning with the Islamic invasions around 800, knowledge of alchemy spread into Western Europe, largely through the works of Ibn Sina, also known as Avicenna. He formulated a medical system that was popular for several centuries. Another was Abu Musa Jabir ibn Hayyan. Jabir had a very cryptic style of writing designed to conceal alchemical secrets. It is from his name that we derive our word for gibberish. They collected many of the ancient Egyptian and Greek alchemical works and translated them into Arabic, which were later translated into Latin in Europe. In medieval Europe, alchemy became very fashionable. By now, kings and rulers everywhere had heard of the wonders possible through alchemy, especially the turning of lead into gold. Alchemy as a means to making gold became a popular pursuit by the rich and the poor. So they're saying at one time that there were a lot of alchemists out there. Poor people like me and super rich people practicing it, trying to become rich. That's not my goal, but there were more people practicing it at one time. There were also a great number of cons and scams perpetrated by those who pretended to know the secrets of the alchemists. Many unsuspecting people lost their life savings in hopes of finding the way to inexhaustible wealth. Alchemy began to acquire a bad reputation as a fraud because of this, and people began to distrust the whole matter without really knowing anything about the true alchemical art. Then, around 1310, Pope John the 22nd issued a decree prohibiting the practice of alchemy, and gold making in particular, with heavy fines against those who traded in alchemical gold. So this book is claiming that at one time there were two types of gold out there. In 1404, almost 100 years later, King Henry IV of England issued an act declaring gold making a crime against the crown. By the 15th century, the invention of the printing press made knowledge more available to the public. Text about alchemy became very popular and began to multiply. Paracelsus, born Philippus Theophrastus Bombast von Hohenheim in Switzerland, 1493, revolutionized the alchemical art and is considered to be one of the fathers of modern chemistry and pharmaceutical medicine. As respected physician and university lecturer, Paracelsus was also skilled in all of the arts of the Hermetic philosophy. He repeatedly demonstrated the power and effectiveness of alchemically prepared medicines. He stressed to his colleagues the importance of looking carefully into alchemy as a source for medicines far beyond what the current pharmaceutical technology could produce. He was constantly at odds with the medical professionals of his day and was looked upon very suspiciously by the church because of his views and opinions. Because of this, some believe Paracelsus was murdered in 1541. However, his ideas and writings did not go unnoticed. In a strange twist of irony, these helped lead to the end of the age of alchemy and the beginning of chemistry as we know it today. The writings of Paracelsus shifted the view of alchemy from the pursuit of gold, into which it had fallen, back towards its original intent: medicines for the body and soul, leading one to perfect health, wholeness, and initiation into nature's mysteries. Paracelsus recognized man's physical and occult constitution according to Hermetic principles. By the 17th century, there was a growing religious freedom which sparked a wave of interest in all things mystical. Alchemical texts became still more widely available, and scholars openly identified themselves as Rosicrucians, adepts, or alchemists. The spiritual aspects of alchemy appealed to many, apart from any practical works. Robert Boyle, another father of modern chemistry, and Isaac Newton studied alchemy during this time. Newton was fully involved and produced volumes of work. In fact, he considered himself to be more of an alchemist than a physicist or mathematician. His notes indicate that he believed he was very close to success in the alchemical art of metallic transmutation. Yeah, until he died from consuming too much mercury that he obviously did not make properly. Boyle was also an ardent student, trying to clarify many alchemical concepts which were becoming obscured even in his day. He was a meticulous experimenter and realized the difference between philosophical and unphilosophical workings upon materials. In his very influential book, The Skeptical Chemist, Boyle called into question the number and nature of the elements and called for a more organized terminology. His alchemical insights have been largely misinterpreted to be a debunking of the virtualistic alchemy in favor of a more rigorous concentration on the physical facts. It was the beginning of a more mechanical worldview, which would last into the 20th century. Around 1660, King Charles II signed the first charter of the Royal Society, and the study of chemistry soon became an officially recognized science. America also had its alchemists, including several state governors. There were groups in Pennsylvania who brought with them many of the early German alchemical writings, which were quite extensive. By the 1800s, the practice of alchemy had largely disappeared in the outer world in favor of its still young offshoot, chemistry. Alchemy survived underground in various secret societies, which became popular, especially towards the end of the 19th century. In the early 1900s, H. Spencer Lewis received a charter from some of these European contracts to form the ancient mystical order of the Rosicrucians, better known as the AMORC. Among other things, they taught laboratory alchemy as was handed down by earlier Rosicrucian sources. In the early 1940s, one student of these classes was Albert Riedel. Frater Albertus went on to teach these classes himself, and then later split off in his own to establish the Paracelsus Research Society in 1960, which became accredited as Paracelsus College in the early 80s. With the passing of Frater Albertus in 1984, there seemed to be a void in alchemical teachings and a lack of central point where students could exchange information. By the early 90s, through the efforts of several PRS students, contact with the French group was made with the Philosophers of Nature, PON, was formed to fill the void with fresh ideas and to carry on research in alchemy. The PON closed in the late 90s. Now we have the internet, the new Library of Alexandria. As we shall see, chemistry, left to grow unfettered, has nearly come full circle to rediscover the Hermetic philosophy. And that's the history of alchemy up till today, according to Robert Allen Bartlett. This one is... Okay, you guys want to do 10 more pages? We can read the second chapter. It explains the four forces and... Or do you want to stop there? Do you want to let that sink in? We can do more. It's beautiful out here. Quick question, I haven't been looking up at the phone too much. The stream has been okay? Has it been jumping around or cutting out at all? Awesome, okay. Wonderful. Hey, glad to see you, Gardner. Richard. We're all dancing in vibration. I love that. The second I saw that, I love that name. Okay. Excuse me. Like I said, I'm a spitter. When my body coughs something up and is trying to get rid of it, I do not fight it and try to swallow it back down. So I apologize for spitting if that grosses anyone out, but that's the way I look at it. Is my body's trying to get rid of something, I'm gonna go along with it. So here we go. Ooh, sorry about that. I was starting to pull on a spearmint plant. We don't want to... You'll catch me looking down and pulling at stuff. I'm weeding, folks. I just see stuff and it's just the gardener in me. It's like my subconscious working while my conscious is doing something else. Okay, chapter 2, the theory of alchemy. The first law of hermetics. All is from one. Perhaps the most concise exposition of alchemical theory, acknowledged by adepts from all ages, is the famous emerald tablets of Hermes Trismegistus. Legend has it that this tablet predates the biblical flood and was inscribed by Thoth himself on a large plate of alchemically produced emerald. Verba secretorum hermetis. It is true, certain, and without falsehood, that whatever is below is like that which is above, and that which is above is like that which is below, to accomplish the one wonderful work. As all things are derived from the one only one thing, by the will and by the word of the one only one who created it in his mind, so all things owe their existence to this unity by the order of nature, and can be improved by adaptation to that mind. This father, its father, is the sun. Its mother is the moon. The wind carries it in its womb, and its nurse is the earth. Sorry. This thing is the father of all perfect things in the world. Its power is most perfect when it has again been changed into earth. Separate the earth from the fire, the subtle from the gross, but carefully and with great judgment and skill. It ascends from the earth to heaven and descends again, newborn, to the earth, taking unto itself thereby the power of the above and the below. Thus the splendor of the whole world will be thine, and all darkness shall flee from thee. This is the strongest of all powers, the force of all forces, for it is the wisdom of the whole world. What I have to say about the masterpiece of the alchemical art, the solar work, is now ended. What he's talking about, folks, is electricity. It's about, when he talks about earth and things like that, we'll get into it. I just wanted to, after I read this, we're going to come back to this and read this again, because it's going to mean something totally different. It's going to, what he's talking about here is physics. This is the physics of how everything works, how we get our energy from a source from above. And it comes down and it's positive above, it turns to the earth back into negative, and then it cycles itself through. And it's amazing that they knew all this stuff so long ago. And it's not been forgotten, it's just been hidden from us, folks. They've put us on this spinning round ball that just made no sense, and really made a lot of us, I think, helped us get lost. We're finding our way back, though. We're getting there. Okay. The alchemists always admonish their students. Know the theory first before attempting the praxis, they say. You must walk in the book of nature to understand our art. The alchemical concepts of life and matter lies at the opposite pole of that of the current scientific community. Science is trying to find out how matter created life. Alchemy states that life created matter. Alchemy affirms that at the origin there is consciousness. Consciousness is the need to be of the absolute. In order to satisfy this need, consciousness created life. In order to evolve, life created matter. And that's not an old saying, that's from Jean Du Bois, the POI seminars in 1992. Wow. Alchemy is an exploration of the involution of the absolute into matter and its subsequent evolution back to the source, depicted as the Ouroboros, or serpent eating its own tail. There's a very old saying, the all is mind, the universe is mental. The all, or the one, is that which is the fundamental truth, the substantial reality. This all is beyond comprehending or the ability to truly name it. So we use a symbol and call it the all, the absolute, the divine, the spirit, the force, the one, only one. Whatever you choose, it is just a symbol, so we can talk about it. This is perhaps best described as infinite living mind. Only by mental creation can the all manifest the universe and still remain the all. For if a substance was used or acted upon, it would be separate, and the all would not be all. It's from the Kabbalion. What we call matter is only that portion of the all we apprehend through our senses. It's very important. Matter is something that is just, that's how our senses perceive it. It is only a label we use to designate the manifestation of the all within the range of our limited sensory apparatus. All things are connected, but separated only by their rates of vibration. Each one of us is a unique and complex waveform, though we also share many of the same harmonics. Like fingerprints, we are unique, but all related. What are you whining about? You, hey! I'm sorry. I'll start that one over. Scrappy, come on, buddy. The kitties are just, they're okay. They're okay. All right, pal? Hey. Okay. Settle down, beef. Okay? Go get your bone. Go get your bone. I know. Where's it at? Well, go get it. Go on. They're fine. They'll be okay. I promise. They're not messing up the garden. They'll be okay. Go on. They're okay. Sorry about that, everybody. Each one of us is a unique and complex waveform, though we also share many of the same harmonics. Like fingerprints, we are unique, but all related. Modern science takes advantage of this fact in order to identify materials by visible light, or by their vibratory nature, in the form of spectral resonance, in visible light, infrared, microwaves, etc. Einstein once said, "Everything is energy. Beyond that is divine." We live in a vast ocean of energy, and everything seen and unseen is a part of it. The alchemists called this energy the celestial fire, the prima materia, the first matter, chaos, and many other things. Everything around us, though it seems separate and different from ourselves, is one, only one. All is from one, is the first law of hermetics. The second law of hermetics, polarity. The one reflecting on itself creates the first movement towards polarity. The division of the one into a most subtle spiritualized energy and dense material energy. The one divided into spirit and matter. Today we might call this energy and matter, which are the same. The second law of hermetics is the law of polarity. One of the earliest observations of nature was that everything has its opposite. Day, night, male, female, hot, cold, wet, dry. The one divides into an active and passive modes, with the active energy constituting the energies of life, and the passive one, the energy of matter. Consider the image of a sine wave, two opposite energies but one wave. So what he's saying there is the active energy constituting the energies of life. So like your consciousness, your soul, is the one that is controlling the passive one, which is the matter, your body, your salt, the makeup. The Golden Chain of Homer, a book written about 1730 and highly esteemed by several generations of alchemists, called the active energy celestial niter, and the passive energy celestial salt. We call these the volatile and the fixed. These two modes of the one express an inherent polarity as well. And they have a picture here showing that it all comes from the one. Then it breaks into the volatile, or celestial niter, or the spiritual aspect that we look at things, and then the fixed, which is the celestial salt, or the body, or this is more like our like chemistry or things like that. This is more has to do with, I don't want to say religion, but spirituality. And they all come from the one, and then they all come back, and it's neat how it all works. How the four elements, the energy of life, the niter, operates through the elements of fire and air. Now again, when they say fire and air, they're not talking about what we think to be fire and air. Both are active in nature, but fire is the more active of the two. These are the volatile energies. The energy of matter, or the salt, operates through the elements of water and earth. These are the fixed energies, water being the more active of the two. These elements have nothing to do with the material bodies of the same name. They are in fact energetic states, each with their own unique characteristics. Hey. Stop, she's fine. Stop, buddy, okay? As early as 500 BC, the ancients called these the four elements and recognized them as the essential qualities by which nature operates and is formed. Today we call them the four forces. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. The element of fire relates to the qualities of radiance, expansion, warmth, and light, anciently known as the hot and dry properties. On the psychological level, fire relates to the superconscious mind. The element of air, it is penetrating, diffuse, movable, the wet and hot properties. Psychologically, air represents the self-conscious mind. The element of water relates to coolness, contraction or mutability or change. The properties of wet and cold. Water is the perfect representative of the subconscious mind. The element of earth. It relates to the qualities of stability, rest, inertia, strength, and solidity. The dry and cold properties. In the human economy, this is the physical body. Then it shows you a little now to get into explaining that Aristotle's elements. Modern science agrees that there are four fundamental forces governing the activity of everything in our universe. And though they call them by the names... No, it's not your name. I'm not calling you, so settle down. Okay. The four forces. A strong nuclear force, a weak nuclear force, electromagnetic force, and you're going to love this one, the gravitational force. It's all electricity. Okay, they are related to the ancient elemental qualities of fire, water, air, and earth. Earth is gravity. Air is the electromagnetic force. And then fire and water are your weak nuclear force and your strong nuclear force. These elemental qualities and their mixtures form the vehicles through which the alchemical three essentials operate. They are the clothing which we interpret as our physical reality. The three essentials. The three essentials are the alchemical principles of sulfur, mercury, and salt. Again, these terms are not the common materials we associate with these words, such as table salt or the mercury in your thermometer. They describe subtle philosophical principles active in nature. Alchemical salt, or the body of a thing, provides the matrix where the sulfur and mercury can act. It is a passive medium, the virgin earth, subject to the fixed energies of water and earth. The salt is influenced by psychic and instinctual forces of the subconscious, as well as the conditions affecting the various states of matter. So what it's saying is the body, or the salt as we call it in alchemy, is subject to the fixed energies of water and earth. And we go back, and again, earth is gravity, and water is the weak nuclear force. So it's talking about, they're talking about things that happen on a, I don't even know if these forces exist. You know, they say everything's made up of these small little atoms and things like that. Oh, take care, Chris. Have a great day, man. Thanks for stopping by. So the salt is the body. Okay, we'll look at it like a video game system. All right. In the video game, the salt is everything inside that video game construct. It is everything you can go to in that video game and touch, and it's the air you're breathing in the game. It's everything within inside that construct that has been created. That is the salt, or the body. Now we're going to go to the alchemical sulfur, or the soul of a thing. Conducts the volatile principles of fire and air, expressing consciousness, intellect, and the true will, or personal fire. So this is your soul. This is your consciousness. This is something that they can't find. They don't know where it is in science even today. In your mind, you know, they have different parts of your brain that are for certain things, but they can't find the soul. They don't know where that, it's because it's not here. We're only seeing, okay, that's it. That's all they have for the soul part, for right there. So the soul is, in the video game system, the soul is you sitting outside of the video game system. It's your conscious being sitting there, getting ready to play a video game. It would be you, okay, in the video game system, the salt is everything inside that you see on the screen would be considered the salt, everything in the video game world. Now the spirit, or the alchemical mercury of a thing, is the vital force or life force, and predominates in the elements of air and water, reflecting intellectual, instinctual, and psychic energies. It forms the link or bridge between the higher forces of sulfur and the lower body of matter, the salt. In mythology, Mercury is the messenger between the world of the gods and the world of mortals, the physical world. So the alchemical mercury, or our spirit, as we like to call it, is actually is the alcohol, the pure energy in our body that everything has. Plants have alcohol. You can pretty much pull alcohol from everything. It's that source. It's that fire, which is connecting your soul, which is actually somewhere else. It's here, but it's in a different dimension, kind of. We'll get into that later. And so now your hands picking up that controller and that cord running to the video game console and the video game system, which helps create that world, that's your spirit. That is the connection between your soul and the matrix that we are in. That's what they're saying in alchemy when they talk about salt, sulfur, and mercury. That's what they're meaning. The energies of celestial niter are often equated with the force of kundalini, or internal spiritual force, according to Indian philosophy. In alchemy, this is referred to as the secret fire in man. The energies of celestial salt are equated with the force of prana, or vital energy carried by the air we breathe and food we eat. Prana is the primary energy distributed throughout the cosmos, said to maintain physical life and existence. It acts at the instinctual and unconscious levels, as well as being influenced by cosmic cycles and other natural phenomena. The function of the kundalini, or niter, is to increase awareness of our true self and true will by lifting our consciousness and opening us to a wider vista of awareness. At the lowest level of functioning, this is the self-centered ego. At its highest, we become aware of our divine nature. Oh, are you okay, friend? Aw, I accidentally squished a fly. Sorry, pal. Back to the earth with you. The effects of awakening this secret fire within constitute a true awakening into nature's mysteries with attendant changes in our perception of how nature operates. This is a direct experience of liberating interior knowledge. The physical body is also changed and improved in functioning, establishing a new center of balance on spiritual and physical levels. The alchemical process seeks to fan this fire, carefully with great judgment and skill. In laboratory alchemy, the three essentials of body, soul, and spirit are most important because they provide us a means of manipulating the elements. Many alchemists indicate that the primal elements are too subtle even for the most skilled artists, and that only nature can work at that level. The three essentials are the fruit of the elements, which man can manipulate even at the physical level. As a Polish alchemist, Michael Sendivogius wrote in his New Chemical Light about 1600, the three principles of things are produced out of the four elements in the following manner. Nature, whose power is in her obedience to the will of God, ordained from the very beginning that the four elements should incessantly act on one another. So, in obedience to her behest, the fire began to act on air and produce sulfur. The air acted on water, produced mercury. Water, by its action on earth, produced salt. Earth alone, having nothing to act upon, did not produce anything, but became the nurse or womb of these three principles. So it's like the earth, or what they would call gravity, is holding it all together. It's the womb. It's, oh wow. And when he's talking about the mercury and the, it's it's really neat. It's physics, folks. They're talking about electricity and how it creates this whole world around us. Everything we see, everything we touch, every sound we hear is created by electricity. I mean, even if you're not here to see it or hear it or sense it, these things are still here and they're being created through electricity. Light is electricity. It's just vibrating at a certain wavelength, allowing us to see it. If it wasn't vibrating and being electric, you wouldn't see it. It wouldn't exist. If it didn't vibrate, it does not exist. In the summary then, the salt represents the body or vehicle which allows expression of the other two essentials. It is a principle of fixity, consolidation, and focus, the material basis or matrix. The sulfur represents the soul, the consciousness. It is a fiery principle. It is brightness. The spiritualized male aspect of the one, Kundalini, the character of a thing, the true colors, the intelligence, the divine spark. The Mercury represents the spirit, the vital life force, the animating spirit, chi or prana. It is a subtle, spiritualized, feminine aspect of the one, pure energy. It bridges the air and water elements, the spiritual world and the material world, the volatile and the fixed. Like I was saying, it's your soul is you, the video game system is, the matrix, and that spirit connecting you is your video game console and the controller. That's how alchemy is kind of looking at this world almost. Except the video game and the controller are within us, it's all, it's, thank you. Butterfly pollinating my strawberries. Thank you very much, friend. It is the sulfur, the consciousness, which directs the life force through the body. Directing more of the life force through more refined bodies or vehicles is the course of nature and evolution. Alchemical work strives to create and fortify an incorruptible spiritual body of which the physical body is a reflection. And then we will end it up with the three kingdoms, the vegetable, animal, and mineral. To the alchemist, everything is alive and consists of a body, a soul, and spirit, or a salt, sulfur, and mercury. This is true in the vegetable kingdom and the animal kingdom and the mineral kingdom. That the plant world and animal world are filled with living beings is obvious to all. The mineral world is generally looked upon as non-living because we only understand carbon-based life. But to the alchemist, the mineral world is also teeming with life and consciousness just as much as the other two kingdoms. I gotta say it one more time just to emphasize it, just as much as the other two kingdoms. So that rock sitting next to you has just as much consciousness and thought and as you do. It's still hard for me to grasp that. I'm not saying I don't believe it, but it hasn't set in with me quite much yet. I'm pretty much saying I don't speak with rocks as much as I should. The processes of alchemy reach into each of the three kingdoms in order to bring its subjects to a higher degree of perfection. I don't know, Tyne. You should ask it and listen and see what it says. I'm not sure. I don't know if a rock would be upset about that or not. In alchemy, all things are evolving, but considered to be exposed to a wave of energies becoming involved in matter as well, and thus subject to hindrances and impurities from matter not ready to mature enough to evolve beyond a certain level. As a result, the energies of life are weakened and the energies of matter predominate, when it is the energies of life which should. The alchemists believe that by understanding nature's laws and applying them with art, that it is possible to remove such hindrances to the evolutionary wave so that the energies of life can predominate and lift the subject toward perfection. Nature is the greatest alchemist of all. I'm going to say it again because I love saying it. Nature is the greatest alchemist of all. She has all of time to complete the process of evolution, which is constantly unfolding around us like a symphony. The alchemist seeks to assist in this evolution, utilizing nature's own laws and methods. In the laboratory, the alchemist can demonstrate nature's laws at work and can speed the processes up. Sacred cycles. Early observations of nature revealed that she moves in cycles, that there is a rhythm to everything. Vibration is a periodic event, circular in nature. Everything we see, everything we know of is vibration, and because of this, there are certain harmonies established between things. From early times, people have observed the stars in order to understand the rhythm of nature. If one intends to help the process of evolution, one has to keep within nature's laws. This is one I use all the time. I love it. You would not go out and plant lettuce in the snow. So it is in the laboratory where the alchemist would await a specific time to carry out an operation in order to capture the momentum of these subtle forces. There are many such connections between gardening and alchemical works. So that was a good chunk we read there. First two chapters. Those two are there's so much that I read there. I'm sorry if I dumped too much on you all at once. I know a lot of you are already familiar with some of this stuff and have gone over it with me. So it was a good little refresher course. And you probably heard it better because I know my connection was pretty bad before. Astrology and Alchemy will be chapter 3. We'll get into next week. It's a real short one. And then we'll also get into an introduction to laboratory alchemy next week and go over how to create these spagyric elixirs the correct way, and then there's an easy method, the way I did it. And that's only about 10 pages. So the next one will be alchemical processes, and we might get into some of those. I might save that all for one, because it's that's just going through the processes of that an alchemist will use. Distillation, calcination, all kinds of stuff like that. Just it's not all laboratory stuff. You can do a lot of it with just basic household stuff. But we'll be going over that in a week later. But I love this book. It's a great book. I love sharing it with you guys. Thank you for showing interest in it. I think there's so much that it can teach us about ourselves. My pleasure, Richard. I enjoy sharing information like this. It's how we learn. It's how we grow. You know, one person goes out and finds something and gathers a group of people and says, "Hey, look at what I found. I'd like to share this with you." And that's how we can all, evolve and grow. Sorry, I see some weeds that are just way too big. They got away from me. Look at that guy. That thing's huge. Oh, it's my pleasure, Walt. I took a page from you and Josh. I probably never would do this, actually, if it wasn't for you guys there on Truth Frequency doing what you guys are doing. You guys inspired me to do this, because you guys have covered so many different topics and whatnot. And you're not just about Flat Earth, you're about sharing information. And I think it was when you had that one lady, she didn't do a live show with you guys, but you guys did a show and then aired it. About sex and stuff like that, and it just made me realize, hey, there's information that I know, that I've done, and I'd like to share it with other people. This isn't stuff you're going to learn in school. This isn't something that is really taught all that much. Like you said, there's very few alchemy schools. Sorry, I keep eyeing these. I see some wild strawberries I'm going to go and pick here in a little bit. Hi, what are you doing, big guy? Huh? Come here. I want to show you off. Look at this kitten. He is one of the reasons why some of my plants are all broken, and yeah, are you breaking my plants? Are you breaking them? Yeah, it's okay. I know, you're just being a kitten. Hey, Chad. Welcome. But the gardens are looking real good. We'll take a look here in a sec. Yeah, things have been going okay lately. Ooh, there's a spider on that one. Things have been... Oh, he noticed I saw him and he went and jumped around underneath the leaf. That was pretty funny. Oh, I love kittens too. But yeah, I mean, you have your little downs and stuff like that. I got a flat tire coming home from work Friday night. Missed the first hour and a half of Flat Earth Friday. I really wanted to be there. Yeah, that bummed me out. But the little things like that, you get the tire fixed and do all that kind of stuff, and it's fine. Everything's okay now. Bumps are gonna happen all the time. We're always gonna get these bumps. And the main thing is, just don't let them get you down when they're happening. Just don't. I mean, I know they do. There's all kinds of little inconveniences that stop us from doing things that we want to do. But try and I try and make a lesson out of all those things. All those little mishaps, I try to make, I try to learn something from it. Whether it's just, this is a lesson in patience, which I go to a lot, is you just have to learn to be more patient. And that's what bad things are going to happen, always. It's just how it goes. But we get through it. Yeah, they seem like really cool people. It's life is good though. Life, I mean, it is what we make it, right? I try not to watch. I don't watch the news. I don't. I try to get no information from that world. And I don't. When people talk about it, I just kind of exclude myself. I know he's already came and got me a couple times. I already showed him once up here. Permaculture gardening. Yeah, we don't need that stuff. We don't need. It's just negativeness. They're bathing you in negative vibes with all that fear mongering and, oh, this person, this horrible thing happened and this horrible thing happened and this, and they might give you one little snippet of a light thing just to throw in there to, keep you off tilt a little bit. But no, there's so much better going on in the world than they will ever admit or ever show you. I mean, just go out and look. And you don't have to look far usually. Usually it'll happen right there. Like, I surround myself with lots of animals and stuff like that, and they're great. They're so much fun. And when people tell me that they don't have a consciousness, they're just reacting to you, or the way, I just laugh at those people now. I used to keep quiet about stuff like that, and, oh, okay, yeah, we're the only, yeah, right. Everything is. And then I started doing experiments with plants about talking to them and the way I treated them. And yeah, plants respond to positive vibes, to you talking to them, to it's awesome. Hey, Karen B, welcome. I just for those joining, I started the whole book all over again, and because I got a new streaming device, and it's not as choppy, and there's no breaking up or anything like that, so it's going much better. No disconnects or anything like that. So I'm going to do the whole book all over again, starting from beginning. And we went through the first 2 chapters and the preface and all that kind of good stuff. Just stuff I've gone over before, but it was, every time I read it, I swear I learned something new. It's a great book. I love it. It makes me want to start reading. I'm going to go find some more alchemy books. I want to find the Golden Chain of Homer, an old copy, because it was only written in the 1700s. So if I can find a copy written early 1800s, something like that, I have a good antique bookstore that they have so many antique books. I'm sure they have something like that. But I've never gone in there asking about alchemy. They had some really old astrology or astronomy books from the early 1800s, but they were like 250 and 300 and something bucks, and I wasn't gonna spend that on astronomy when I don't believe in astronomy. If it was information that oh, I'm sorry, Walt, I already did. I already erased it off YouTube. My bad. But you got to hear it, It touched some people at least. So that's all that counts. I've learned I'm not so much of a sentimental person anymore. This is all moving and flowing. Yeah, everything's moving and flowing all the time. everything. And all this stuff could be turned off in a heartbeat. You know, so don't worry about it. Put it out there. If it changes one person's perspective or one person hears it and learns something from it, then what you did was worth it. Yeah, we can't hold on to things. We got to let them go. That's part of this journey that we're doing. I think, at least. That's one thing I'm learning. Because everything goes around in circles and everything comes, you know, it's a learning experience to let things go. I'm not sure if Glowbusters is on today. It'll be starting in about 24 minutes, 23 minutes, 40 seconds. If it is, I hope so. I've been missing the guys. Yeah, me too, Karen. I want to let a lot of things go. I let carbonated drinks go. I have not had, those of you who know me know that I used to, well, I still do. I haven't had one, but my Red Bull, I've given those up. I haven't drinking anything carbonated. June 17th, cool. Yeah, we have to let things go. I let my Red Bull go, my carbonated drinks. And I'm feeling better. I noticed that I'm definitely not burping or... Are you getting my toes? Are you getting them? You wild beast. I'm not burping or getting rid of gas in any other ways nearly as much since I stopped drinking carbonated drinks. I actually heard somebody on TFR, I think Jim Ram, the do-it-yourself healthcare guy, I think that's him. He always talks about carbonated drinks, not to use them an hour before or after you eat because it messes with your ability to intake the nutrients from the food. And I don't know, I noticed I haven't been nearly as hungry by lunchtime at work this week. Because I eat my apple and my waffles. Now I'm on a waffle kick with the dogs. But I always eat my apples every morning and stuff like that. And I'd go and crack a Red Bull, you know, on my way to work right after I get done eating. Oh, awesome, Walt. Wonderful. Very cool. Yeah, that's awesome. So let's go take a look at the garden, guys. What do you guys say? Are you done attacking my toes? Are you done attacking my toes? You wild vicious beast. You wild vicious beast. Yeah. I could play with kittens all day long. It's a little tiny town called North Judson, Indiana is where I live. I can't give up meat yet. I've been cutting back a lot. I don't eat nearly as much meat as I used to, but I love meat. Here are some wild strawberries. Look at this. Is a brand new wild strawberry plant right here. Welcome, friend. Oh, cool, Chad. And here are some wild strawberries looking much better than they were when we were having those 100-degree days. We're actually producing, as you can see, little bitty strawberries here. They don't get a whole lot bigger than that. The wild strawberries, it's more of a little treat, a flavor treat. You're not gonna, unless you find a really big patch, you're not gonna get filled up on these things. But yeah, they are. Yeah, I love them. I found them in a field when I was out shooting one day, and I just brought one home. Just one little thing like that, and they spread into this so far. I'm even getting some over here now. A bunch of raspberries going down there. And all these, I never planted any of these raspberries. These are all brought here by birds. Just going to the bathroom in the yard. Blackberries on this side. These cats are really... You are the culprit. You are destroying my blackberries. You are dissing them. Why are you doing that, huh? Why are you doing that? Stinker butt. The pepper plants are looking wonderful. Look at the little baby peppers popping up on top. These are cayenne peppers. I use them mostly medicinally. I make pills for people. Blood circulation, it really helps. People with high blood pressure. Yeah, I make cayenne pepper pills. I'm trying to get people to stop taking all this medication from doctors that, well, you have to take this blood pressure pill, then that makes this, so you have to take this water pill, and then that makes this, so you have to take this and that. And I tell them, people, you can go get this stuff. It's out. It's right outside your door. But they want to listen to the guy in the white lab coat, which I understand. They're dealing with their health, and that guy paid a lot of money to get taught how to supposedly help people, and it's a big step to take to admit to yourself that these people are not here to help you. It's scary, and a lot of people would rather just ostrich their head in the sand and not even think about it than try to admit it to themselves. And this guy, look at him grow it in an angle. He's back to growing straight up now though. And then this guy, I think, is my tallest one so far. And he's got some... Yeah, just looking great. That rain, really, they love the rain. I got some major weeding to do. This is going to be... I ordered it. It should actually be here this week. Some golden seal. It's a magical herb. You can make some really great medicines out of. And here is my tomato plant. Getting a nice thick stalk on them. Growing a little to the side here, but that's alright. No worries. And blackberry bushes aren't doing too bad this year. On this side, I'm going to get a bunch of berries out of this guy here. But that's what the berries look like when they're first. Let me see if I can. Yeah, there we go. Come on. Focus in there. And they'll start filling up with water and juices, and oh, they're so good. And I have a spearmint patch here. They're starting to get a little bit taller. Looking good. The blackberries growing out of the tree trunk. Tree stump, I should say. We'll come over here. Hashtag no shoes in your garden. Go barefoot. Make an impression on your plants. Zucchinis are doing great. I've already got some flowers that have already opened. So I should be seeing some zucchinis on this end here real soon. And then this zucchini plant is doing very well. These leaves right here are going to get huge. I mean, we're talking at least 1.5 feet wide and maybe 2 feet long. They get so big. One thing you want to look for, not this time of year, not yet. They'll be here pretty soon, are the stink bugs. They'll lay eggs underneath your leaves. And I don't like to kill it. I will take the whole leaf and cut it off near the base and just pull that out and then go put the leaf somewhere else. That's one reason why I always put my zucchini plants away from any other vine, because they get the stink bugs attracted to them for some reason. I don't know what it is, but they always get them on there first. And if you can keep them away from your other plants, you should be all right. This is a wonderful edible plant right here. Yeah, squash bugs. Yeah. This is, we call it lamb's ear. I'm not sure what the scientific name, Latin name is. These need to go. I might let a couple of these grow up here in my walkways. I don't know. I did last year. I had some that were over 6 feet tall. They got huge. Yeah, I had jury duty this week and stuff like that, and I didn't get out here as much as I wanted to. Strawberries are looking good. They're making some new friends for us. Look at this guy. It's a brand new strawberry plant right there. Brand new. Brand new. He's got all kinds of shoots. There's a brand new one coming out. This guy is brand new. And I'll let them go wherever they want right now. Then in the wintertime is when you want to dig them up and move them if you need to. When the plant is dormant, you don't want to do it when the plant is thriving and alive. That's what I did with these right here. And as you can see, all the plant that was alive at that time is now dead and decayed, but it didn't die. Like I was saying before, the root systems are strong. Plants are real strong. Just like us, we can get weak and decrepit and look real bad, but we can bounce back from it and build ourselves up. And plants can too. They're amazing. It's all about if they have the will, you know, if you give them a reason, give them some love and attention, they do a lot better. It's amazing what they can do. Here's a little strawberry down here. Oh, look at that guy. I'm not even sure what that is. Hey there, buddy. You having a good day? Oh, he's got big, bright blue eyes. I don't think I've ever seen one of those. I have no clue what that is. Yeah, you guys... I don't know what he is. Huh. Well, you have a nice day, Fallon. Put these on for a sec. Let me walk over to the other spot. We have these Texas sandburrs around here that pop up every once in a while. I live in sand. I'm letting these grow. This is the lamb's ear as well. Good eating. You can make a salad out of it. Not seeing as much wood sorrel as I usually have out here. Got some dandelions. Clover, also very edible. Like these parts of clover, that's perfect right there. You want to get them before they open up, like that. But that right there, that's good eating. Very edible, good for you. You could eat the whole part of clover, the roots, everything. I'm going to go take a look at the green beans over here. Oh, this plant. I've had to move one vine that was growing out this way, and I didn't move it, I just broke it loose. I asked this plant 2 years ago when I put this thing up not to grow that way, to not grow into the green beans. And this is a Virginia creeper plant. Very hard to get rid of once you establish them, so be very wary of planting them. But if you like a lot of birds and stuff like that around, they get these berries that birds love. We have it all over. It's all over that vine right there on that fence. That's all pretty much Virginia creeper. There's a couple other plants in there, but that's mostly Virginia creeper. But yeah, I asked this plant not to grow and take up the green beans because they're right here, not to take up their space. And this thing has been growing this way. Is that not awesome? I was just so pleased that it, you know, we're getting along very well here. And I told him, because I was cutting him down for the longest time, I told him, you know what, go ahead, you can grow as long as you don't grow that way. And it's growing down that string, not growing down this at all on any of them. I just thought that blew my mind. All the green beans are doing pretty good. A couple of them got something going on with their leaves. They'll be all right though. We've got blackberries. No, these are raspberries. Going along this back fence, there's that might be a tiger lily, that one. I know we have a few of them. There's some polk right there. You can make salads out of that. More Virginia creeper. Like I said, it's all across here. See all the berries? And it grew all this along this fence in 2 years. I had the fence totally cleaned off 2 years ago. And then we'll go back here. No, you guys are gonna stay in the yard this time, okay? I know, that's borderline communism, but that's how it's gonna go for today. I'll let you guys out here in a little bit. I have more raspberries, a nice little patch right here I'm starting to grow. There's some even in the flower garden. Flower garden's looking horrible this year. I still haven't got out here and done much. I've been working about 60 hours a week, so it's been hard. I do have cherries though on my cherry tree for the first time ever. I just thought that was awesome. Yeah, finally got some cherry trees. That made my day when I saw them. And then this is one of my favorite places right here, my raspberry patch. It has all kinds of berries. I cannot wait to look at that. Look at all those berries. This is definitely the best season I've had so far out here. And the neatest part is I planted this, I think it was 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. 2 little vines that were about 8 inches long each, coming out of the center spot. And that's all it was. I planted right in the middle down here. Right down in here. 2 little tiny vines that were about 8 inches. And it turned into this in 3, maybe 4 years. I forget. Yeah, they spread like wildfire. And it's a great source of food. Look at all these berries. Man, this really went gangbusters this year. Yeah, downstairs.
I want to make some roast chicken in the oven.
That sounds awesome.
Skinless chicken and just roast it in butter and lemon juice.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'll grab it here in 1 second. I'm almost done. I'm going to show them the other garden and stuff, and then here is the plums. This is the first year that I've had more than 1 plum that has made it. Let's see. Let me get a good... Yeah, they're hanging all over the place. So that'll be cool, having some plums this year. Apple tree I saved. I hope I'm saving it. It was having a whole lot of troubles. It was all the way up here, broken off. And I went and put it in this new spot, and it seems to be doing much better. But as you can see, it's getting these yellow dots on it. Let me get here a little bit closer. Those yellow dots. And that's what happened to it the last couple years. And it'll start doing something to the leaves. We have some kind of mold or something that comes from red cedar chips, I've heard. And it just totally decimates apple trees. So I don't know if this one's going to make it. Or how long this stuff is going to stay around here. I hope not too much longer. Here is some polk right here. Indians use this stuff. It's kind of like dandelions. It's real bitter, but you can eat it. And it's good for you. It's got a lot of nutrients and stuff, but it does turn poisonous, so you have to be very careful. Once it starts getting berries on it, the Indians used to actually, they might still, but they use the berries to induce vomiting when sick, because they're that poisonous. Here is a, oh, I forget what kind of berry this is. Ooh, there's a dark one too. Oh yeah. Oh, I forget what, mulberry. They're mulberry bushes. And I'm finally letting them grow. I've been cutting them back for years like an idiot. Look at this, these are starting to get pretty now. Take care, Richard. Thanks for stopping by, man. Yeah, mulberry trees. Look at the water. I don't know if you can see it in there. Holding onto that water. These will grow real tall though. Then just the compost pile. Good old compost pile. And my babies. Oh, here's this. Look at this mulberry tree. This has them all over it. So I'm going to make some mulberry preserves, I think. I've heard they're a little sour, bitter. I'm going to try one. Oh, that's good. Oh, yeah. And here they are, folks. Let me take my shoes off. The pickle plants. Look at, we already got baby pickles. Little yellow flowers covering everything. There is a pickle at its most infant stage almost. Look at that little guy. Oh, you guys are all looking so good. Yeah, the flower grows out and then the pickle grows in right behind it. Oh, look at that flower. These are cucumbers. Or these are pickles here. And then the cucumbers are right here. Oh, I love it. I love them all, folks. And garlic is just about ready to start. All the top parts start dying. It doesn't last all summer. Got some tall spearmint, and then here are my... No. These are my lemon balm, friends. These are full of cannabinoids and going to help me make all kinds of wonderful medicines for people. We're not going to... Thinking about starting a tincture here pretty soon. I'm going to do it as soon as I get my distill, my laboratory distill setup going. I'm going to do it the proper way. We'll talk about that next week in introduction to laboratory alchemy. I did it the easy way the first time I made them. Now I'm going to make a tincture out of these, doing it the refined way. Much more difficult, but I'll have the... I'm going to make some amazing things. Yeah, they're a beautiful plant. Full of cannabinoids. Let's see, how are you doing over here, buddy? This guy has, ooh, wow, that soil is, look at that footprint there. It's very loose. That's how you want it. You don't want to move them around too much, but look at, see how the, there's the cucumber right there, little baby cucumber, and the flower growing out the end. Now the flower will fall off and that cucumber will get real big. I remember when they were just two little leaves. Pretty soon, about 3 more weeks or so, it's going to be hard to see the ground. These things are going to start growing like crazy here. Well, they just started, actually. They're doing amazing already. You guys are all doing awesome. Thank you so much. I always come out every 2 or 3, well, about 3 or 4 days. And can't tell now because it rains so much, but I break up the soil. I'm going to come and do it this afternoon. You always want to do it after a rain or after a few days. I'll break up all the soil around here. You want to aerate your roots and get roots or air down to your roots. Very important. Makes a huge difference. Not only that, it breaks up the soil and allows the roots to expand easier, which then allows your plant to get bigger. So yeah, there's all little tricks to the trade that are real easy to do. You just got to put in a little time and effort. I got to go getting rid of all these guys along the outside edge. That's about a once in a week thing. I'll go and get rid of all these little guys through here once they start getting so big. Yeah, that's what it's all about. Sharing the energy, Walt. Sharing vibrations. Buddy, you okay? At least looking a little rough there. Yeah, you'll be alright. Yep, they're amazing beings. I gotta say it. Oh yeah, this stuff is gold right here. Look at that. This was actually dirt that they had brought here. They had a ton of black dirt brought here. And this is the only place that has it. Is right here where it's cleared. You go out any further, it's sand. In every direction, pretty much. Now you don't need that to have black dirt, but it makes it easier because it holds water. You don't have to water as much. The plants like it. They seem to. You don't have to put as much into it. It has a lot in it already. Well, folks, that might be about it for this week. Yeah, as you can see, it's sand. When you get away from that, it's like being at the beach. This was actually a mound or a hill where probably most likely a bunch of Indians lived on, because all this land was actually underwater about 110 years ago. All the land around us. There was a bunch of little islands here in northern Indiana around this part. And kings and queens from all around the world came here to hunt bears and deer and minks and all the kind of... Take care, Chad. Thanks for stopping by, man. Be here next week too if you want to join. Thanks for sharing all your knowledge. Ooh, there's a they call it goat's beard or salsify. The whole plant is edible. Ooh, that's a nice one too. Look at how thick and tough that stalk is. Hi, baby girl. You want to say hi? You want to say hi, pretty? Seen the baby girl? Yeah. I know. You're just so beautiful. How you doing, huh? You doing okay? Yeah? Okay, good. Good. Oh, thank you. Thank you for those lovin's. I love it. You're such a precious lady. Yeah, she is a wild one right there. I have seen her catch birds out of the sky. She likes to get up on the roof and wait for them to go flying by and jump off and try and catch them. There's another salsify plant. Those would be like the big giant dandelions you see. That's actually called a salsify plant. Just as edible as dandelions, but the root gets real big in the fall and winter. A lot of people will mark where those are. Wow, look at that ant mound. That is some serious work. I am not dragging a tree over these guys. I put some time into that. Silly string. Wow, there's a lot of ants out here. There's my pile of gold. Some people would call it horse manure. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. If you need some garlic, there's garlic over there. Alrighty. Yeah, that sounds awesome. Huh? There's full clothes in there. Alright. And then back here, folks, I have a little bit more. See, this is pulp to where you don't want to start eating anymore. Once it gets this mature and old, the leaves, I don't want to hurt the plant. But if you go to break the leaves, they'll have a white milky residue in the main veins. And that's not good for you. And these berries right here are going to start turning black. And when they do, they're very poisonous. Like I said, the Indians use them to induce vomiting and stuff like that. So, like anything else, you gotta be careful when you're eating plants that, you know, you aren't too familiar with. You gotta be very careful, very cautious. The sorrel, that's what this is called. I gotta pull all these off. Sorry, guys. This just makes it so they, once they go through seeding, if they flower, they will stop producing leaves. So we'll just pull those off, throw them to the side, throw them in the burn pile later, re-add them back to the soil. I still haven't come out here. I feel so bad for these gardens. I've been neglecting them. I know, guys, I haven't had time. My English time's doing all right. I gotta do some work in here. It's already got flowers, really little pretty flowers. Ooh, it smells so good too. The oregano is just gangbusters big. That one's doing fine. The Greek oregano is doing pretty good. I'm leaving these, the milkweed. They are the only food for the monarch butterfly, so they say. This just looks horrible. I can't believe I let this come to this. I know, guys, I'll get out here pretty soon. I've been busy. But these are garlic chives right here. I know, I'll get out here, guys. Oh, that is oregano. I'm gonna have to use that now. Smells so good. But yeah, know what you're eating. Hostas. Now this right here, I heard you can make a magical medicine out of tarragon. So I'm gonna start, that's what this is, this big tall branches. I don't know what this thing is growing inside of it, but you're not supposed to be here, friend. Yeah, thanks, Walt. I'm taking off too. Thanks for being here, man. I appreciate it. Love you too, man. So everybody, you all, go say hi to a plant. You'll feel better. Try it. I always tell everybody when I get ready to go that a lot of things you're never going to learn whether or not it's real or not if you don't try it. And when you go to try it, intend it. Mean what you're saying. Say what you mean. The coolest part about it is that you can't lie to a plant. It's going to know. So don't lie. Because it's not picking up on the words you're saying. It's picking up on the vibrations. And your intents. So don't lie to it. Tell it. You know, one day But look at it differently. Don't look at it like as you're killing it. Look at it as like you're combining you and the plant together. And you're going to become one day and stronger. And you two can help each other. And the consciousness of that plant can reside within you, and you know, you can become one. That's how I look at my food now when I eat it. I mean, I always thank a creator for everything, but when I go to eat the food, I thank the food for giving up, for having to make a sacrifice so I can keep this body going. It's, I don't know. I don't know. I must say I'm very happy right now. Even when bad things, you know, things go wrong, and you know, all the life's mishaps push us backwards a little bit, they seem to bother me a lot less now. There's some I was looking for, and this is wood sorrel. For some reason my yard's getting a little more scarce of it, but they're heart-shaped, unlike clover, and they have a strong vein. You see how it's like folded in half almost? Another plant you can eat all of, known for little yellow, pink, and purple flowers. The ones around here in northern Indiana are mostly all yellow. But they make these little pods that are so good. If you like tart and sour candies, you can get a handful of wood sorrel pods. No, you can't lie to your animals either. You're right. Absolutely right, Karen. They know. You know, they rely on reading emotion. And it's the animal instincts that we all have that we've domesticated out of ourselves. We forget how to do these things and use them. But yeah, just try it. I know it's hard. It's like looking at your first flat earth video, going and talking to your first plant. But I'm telling you, if you do and you mean it, you're going to feel a little bit different. You may not even notice it at first, but things are going to change a little bit. Getting back with nature is, I think, one of the things this whole big giant revelation is all about. Getting away from the machines so much and dependent upon them, and learning that we can do all this stuff pretty easily. It's all the stuff that we rely on a lot of these machines to do for us, we can do. And we can make it even a little bit easier with just a little bit of knowledge. They actually have made it harder in so many ways to do so many things, just so you don't go and try and do them. But you never know until you try. That's always going to be there. So if you never try to talk to a plant, you will never know that you can. Look at that flower. I'm not sure what it is. Wow, that is beautiful. Look at the side of it. Wow. I'm trying to get that in focus right there. You can see like the veins in it. That's just cool looking plant. I'm gonna have to look that one up. Okay, all. So I'm gonna get heading out here. Grass is still a little bit wet, but I gotta mow and I got a lot of weeding to do. But take your time. Enjoy life a little bit every once in a while when you can, you know? Sit back and watch a bird twerp. It might be talking to you. You never know. Take a look around. It's a beautiful world. Everywhere you look, you just gotta find that bit of beauty there. So that's it, folks. Thank you so much for joining me. Remember, it's all alive, everything. Plants, the rocks, the air, everything. It's all vibrating and moving, and we'll get into consciousness and stuff like that at a later date, but I don't know where it starts and where it ends. So right now I'm open to pretty much trying to speak with all of it, communicate with all of it, take in as much as possible. So thank you all for joining me. I had a really good time today. It's been a good morning. So you all have a wonderful afternoon, and I will see you guys around at the chats and all that kind of good stuff. Hopefully I'll see you here next Sunday. And yeah, go say hi to a plant for me. Tell them I said hi. Good times for all, signing out. As always, thanks for watching.